Actually getting the sun poking through right now. It's pretty nice. Yesterday I tried to do a belly takeoff, but the propeller dug into the thick snow. So what I thought I'd do today is dig a trench for the propeller and see if I can do a belly takeoff. And then maybe possibly this plane going overhead. We're actually near an airport. So if that didn't work, I would try maybe building a ramp. I've got my snow shovel here. So let's do this. I really don't think this is going to work, but it's worth a try. I think I can tell already what's going to happen. It's just going to nosedive from the friction on the sides of the wings. If this possibly could work, I would need probably a more narrow trench. All right, let's see what happens. No good. Too much friction. Wouldn't even go. Yeah, there's no possible way. Yeah. Alright, so much for my crazy ideas. Alright, today I'm going to try to do some landings. Yesterday I had trouble coming in slow enough. So I'm going to head out there, cut the engine, try to glide in, and come in for some smooth landings. It's not snowing today, so hopefully the camera can focus since my wife isn't using the baseball cap to confuse it. Like in the previous videos where it just wanted to focus on the baseball cap. Here we go. I accidentally hit some of the trim button here and make sure I didn't throw something out. Ah, the rudder. Okay. Want this thing trimmed so it flies as neutral as possible. I did notice the two ailerons are slightly above the wing. That may have something to do with why it was pitching downward. If both of them are kind of upward, I'm not sure how to adjust that. Also, I was running the 2.2 amps battery yesterday, which is much heavier. Today I've got the 1.1. So people talk a lot about center of gravity. If the center of gravity is where the battery is, which is right here, then it shouldn't matter how heavy your battery is. So maybe that's not the issue of why it wants to nose down by default. Okay, let's fly this thing. Yeah, it definitely wants to nose down. Oh, stall here. Not a great landing. Once again, I don't have gloves and my fingers are starting to freeze. Since it's pitching down, this time I'm going to throw it with my left hand so I have control over the tail elevators. Feels awkward for me since I'm right-handed, but with my right hand I can rudder up, keep the nose up. Now I cut the engine and it's now going against the wind. It's now on a glide. I'm going to cut some altitude. See if I can cut some speed. As I said, it's coming against the wind, so all right. It's actually a lot easier to land when you're coming against the wind, because then you, in relationship to the ground, your plane is traveling quite slow. You need to take a break and warm the hands. Still not flying with gloves, and it's below freezing. Whoa! When I missed the ground by like an inch. Oh shoot, tennis courts. That was pretty cool. I thought I was going to hit myself. Haven't done that yet, believe it or not. You'd think I'd made every mistake by now, but I haven't made that one. I've almost hit my wife though. We keep having to take breaks and warm our hands. One thing I like to do is fly up into the clouds when there's low clouds, like when it's raining out. I don't know how high the clouds are now, but it looks like I might be able to do it. What I do is I fly into the wind so that if the battery dies, I know that it can just glide back to me. And I don't know if the camera will be able to follow it that high or far, but let's give it a shot. And also, you don't know what direction the wind is up there. I mean, it could be different directions, so that's one danger. But I can see which way the clouds are going, so I'm pretty sure the wind is heading this way. All right, you're supposed to throw your plane into the wind. I've been throwing it with the wind, so that's kind of a problem. So let me try to throw it into the wind this time. And I'm going to use my right hand because I just can throw it much better with my right. If I throw it up enough, then I can get onto the rudder before it dives into the ground. Really fighting the wind there. Must be much windier up there than it is down here. Definitely struggling against that wind to keep the nose into the wind, keep it climbing. And it's also difficult to see which direction it's going. Yeah, at this point I can't fly it because I need binoculars to figure out what it's doing, you know? So, oh crap. All right, yeah, well, it got to the point where it just silhouetted, and at that point, I couldn't fly it anymore. And that's how I lost one of my planes. I flew it downwind, it got too far away, and I just couldn't figure out what it was doing. If you ever want to make your camera person lose their balance, just fly over their head. All right, let's see if we can do another landing here. Cutting the engine down. All right, we're gliding now. All right, that would have been good if it hadn't hit the snowmobile tracks. Time to take a break and warm our hands. All right, the sun is poking through a hole in the clouds here, so best time to fly when you can actually see what your plane is doing. I throw it with the wind. Since it's not that bad. Definitely got to get on that rudder to figure out what is going on with my plane, why it wants to dive so much. All right, I've cut the engine, it's gliding. Bring the nose around, it's coming at us now. Let's cut some altitude. Coming way too fast. Get nose up, and decent landing. Having some issue with my my wing. It's got a slight wobble to it. I've tightened the screw enough, but there's some slack in there, and it's not being held as securely as it should. So I got to figure out what the issue is with that. But it's not so bad that it would affect it too much. Now you're probably wondering why I don't trim the tail so it doesn't dive, but I've trimmed it all the way. It won't go any further. So I have to find some other maybe mechanical way to adjust the push rod so that the tail is in a neutral or upward position so that it keeps the nose up. Just doing takeoffs and landings today, basically. Got to practice my landings because I'm pretty bad at those. Oh man, yeah, it's hard to get on that rudder. You know, you're really shaky at first. Stalled it there, full throttle. When your eyes are looking into the sun, that's when you can lose track of what your plane is doing, since your pupils contract. And that's what just happened to me. I looked into the sun and I lost track of what my plane was doing. So let's see, keep the sun on my back, which I can't really do since I'm doing flybys here and I have to drive it into the sun. Uh-oh. Flew over the camera person. She just can't maintain her balance. Past the sun. Ah! Yikes! Beautiful. Cut. Let's call it a day. Oh, that was excellent. I don't think I got any damage today, so that is definitely a happy day when that happens.